We haven't seen a real super team since the Golden State Warriors with Kevin Durant. From the Raptors in 2019 to the Nuggets last season, the last few champions have been focused more on depth than accumulating stars on top through trades and free agency. We saw a long era of super teams, headlined by the Pierce, Garnett, and Allen Celtics, the Heatles, and the KD Warriors, but they haven't been the same over the past few years. But the Phoenix Suns are trying to bring the super team back. They won 64 games in 2022, but traded for all-time great Kevin Durant last season, and now added Bradley Beal, who averaged 31 points per game in his last somewhat healthy season. They've gone all in on winning a title right now, and with Devin Booker, KD, Beal, and DeAndre Ayton, they have 4 max contracts on the roster. They also brought in a new coach in Frank Vogel, who won the title with the Lakers in 2020. He has plenty of experience coaching stars. Who knows if Ayton will be on the team when the season starts, but the team will still be extremely top-heavy either way. After 2 seasons of very high-level success, they've decided that they're going to do all they can not to miss their title window. I don't know if we've ever seen new owner syndrome to the level of what we've seen with Matt Ishbia, and he has no regard for what the future will end up being for Phoenix. But right now, they're going to be great. They're in the first tier of teams in the West. The Phoenix Suns are bringing super teams back. Now let's take a deeper look. Before we get into the new Big 3 in Phoenix, if you enjoy my content and watch a few videos of mine, think about subscribing. 91% of my viewers are actually not subscribed, so if you watch me before and enjoy the content, drop a sub and comment down below. It really helps the channel. We don't really see Big 3s anymore. We've seen a shift towards 1 or 2 superstars and then really good depth around them. The team's cumulative talent has become more of a priority, and having 3 or even 4 max contracts makes getting a talented rotation kind of difficult. But can the Suns flip the script and prove that having this many max players can still compete? Many people seem to think so, as Vegas currently has them projected to win the second most games in the Western Conference. They didn't lose a single regular season game with Durant last season, and now they've replaced an old Chris Paul with Bradley Beal. It's undeniably an upgrade, but most of the depth is completely different from last season, and the team gaining chemistry may take a couple of months. But this team could bring super teams back, but that depends on the players. So let's take a look at the impact guys for Phoenix. When talking about the Suns, I'd say you still have to start with Devin Booker. Even though Durant is there, this is still Book's team. At 26 years old, he's just hitting his prime, and he has become one of the 10 or so best players in the entire league. He finished 4th in MVP voting in 2022, and may have been in a similar spot if not for the groin injury he had to deal with last year. For the season, he averaged 28 points, 6 assists, and 5 rebounds per game, but he was at his absolute best in the playoffs. It was one of the most dominant individual playoffs we've seen in a long time, and it came with him spending a lot of time at the point guard spot. For the postseason, he averaged 34 points, 7 assists, and 5 rebounds per game, with insane 59, 51, 87 shooting splits. He's one of the game's best scorers and has also been very good in the clutch. Then we should talk about Kevin Durant. He's a player that many view as a top 12 to 15 player in the history of the NBA. He's also arguably the most gifted scorer in the history of the game. He has dealt with relatively consistent injuries since his Achilles tear in 2019, but when on the court, he's been unstoppable. Last season, he averaged 29 points, 7 rebounds, and 5 assists per game. It also came as one of the most efficient seasons in league history, with 56, 40, 92 shooting splits. You could say he's the best player on the team, but he and Booker are a legitimate 1A and 1B. His efficiency was a little bit worse in the playoffs, but he was still very good. He will be 35 years old when the season starts, but we haven't seen a drop-off from him to this point. Then the newest star in town is Bradley Beal. He had spent his entire career to this point with the Washington Wizards, often playing for a team that wasn't all that relevant. Now he'll get a real chance to compete for a championship, arguably for the first time in his career. His stats over the past couple seasons have been slightly down, as he's dealt with injuries and allowed guys like Kristaps Porzingis and Kyle Kuzma to get their points. But that's not bad, as he has experience being part of a trio, and he won't have any issue deferring to Booker and KD. In 2021, he averaged 31 points, 5 rebounds, and 4 assists per game. He did that while playing alongside another star in Russell Westbrook, so he can still get his points even when sharing touches. It's been reported that the team might decide to play him at point guard this season. Who knows if DeAndre Ayton will be on this team much longer, but they are paying him $30+ million annually, so we should probably talk about him. He hasn't reached the level that the team hoped for when taking him number 1 overall in the 2018 NBA draft. However, he has been a solid player. He played a huge part in the team making the finals in 2021. Last season, he averaged 18 points, 10 rebounds, and a block per game. He's a double-double machine, and if he could accept a screen and roller job with the team, he could remain extremely valuable. But they could decide to trade him away for multiple players in an attempt to get more depth. I really like the addition of Eric Gordon this offseason, and I think he could be the 5th guy in the closing lineup along with the other 4 I mentioned. He had been wasting away on a bad Houston team for a few years and had clearly lost interest. He's very valuable to any playoff team as he can score in bunches and hit threes. Like Beal, I'll take us back a couple of seasons. In 2021, he averaged 18 points, 3 assists, and 2 rebounds per game. He's a career 37% shooter from 3 and provides great spacing for the offense. He also looked great for the Bahamas this summer and was even throwing down poster dunks over defenders. He's 34 years old, and I don't even remember him doing that in his prime, but maybe he'll take it up a level with an actually good team this season. Then Bol is an interesting upside signing from this free agency. At 7'2" and possessing guard-like skills, as well as being the son of former NBA player Manute Bol, there has been a lot of anticipation surrounding him. But through 4 seasons, he hasn't been the player some have expected. Last season was the best of his career, and he averaged 9 points, 6 rebounds, and a block per game. He hasn't become the star many hoped for, and a lot of people are losing hope and interest. But if there's anyone who can help a skilled 7-footer reach his potential, it would be Kevin Durant, and he could be the secret to unleashing Bol. In terms of lineup, the starters for the Suns should be Beal, Booker, Josh Okogie, Durant, and Ayton. Then the second unit should be Damian Lee, Eric Gordon, Keita Bates-Diop, Yuta Watanabe, and Bol. Guys like Jordan Goodwin, Drew Eubanks, and Chimezie Metu could get minutes as well. So what should we expect from the Suns in 2024? On the low end, they could finish somewhere from 5th to 8th in the Western Conference and enter the playoffs without home court advantage. On the high end, they could finish with a top 2 seed in the West and enter the playoffs as legitimate contenders and potentially even favorites to represent the West in the finals. I wouldn't say Book, KD, Beal is quite the same as KD, Kyrie, and Harden, but they still should be very talented offensively. Expect at least 2 All-Stars in KD and Booker, and if they're on the high end, all 3 guys could make it. The biggest question with this team will be depth, but I like a lot of their additions this offseason. But can the Suns really bring super teams back? We'll have to wait and see. Thanks for watching. I'm Herm. Have a good one.